Elias Thorne was a man made of quiet moments and the scent of old paper. His world was the small, cluttered bookstore on the edge of town, a haven he had inherited from his grandfather. It was a place where stories slept on dusty shelves, waiting for the right hands to wake them. Elias moved through this world with a gentle, almost invisible presence, his days measured by the turning of pages and the soft hum of the old radiator. He found comfort in the predictable rhythm of his life, a life built on the solid foundation of ink and binding. He believed that all the adventure and passion he needed could be found within the covers of a book, safe and contained. Outside his shop stood a willow tree, ancient and magnificent. Its branches swept the ground like a green curtain, creating a secluded world beneath its canopy. For Elias, this tree was an extension of his bookstore, a living library of rustling leaves and whispering winds. He spent his lunch breaks there, a book in hand, shielded from the hustle of the world. The willow was his silent companion, a steadfast friend that asked for nothing but offered a peaceful embrace. It had stood there long before he was born, a silent witness to countless sunrises and whispered secrets, and he felt a deep, unspoken connection to its enduring strength and quiet grace. He often thought the tree understood him better than anyone. It didn't demand conversation or expect him to be anything other than what he was, a quiet man content with his small corner of the world. Under its drooping leaves, the light filtered through in soft, dappled patterns, making the ordinary world feel magical and distant. Elias would trace the patterns on the grass with his finger, losing himself in thought. He watched the seasons change through the lens of its branches, from the vibrant green of summer to the stark, beautiful silhouette of winter. The tree was a constant, a living poem in a world that often felt too loud and too fast for his gentle soul. This quiet existence was all Elias had ever known, and truthfully, all he thought he ever wanted. He arranged his books with meticulous care, spoke to his few customers in soft, measured tones, and returned each day to the comforting shadow of his willow. He was a keeper of stories, both the ones printed on pages and the silent one he lived every day. He was unaware that the gentle rhythm of his life was about to be met with a new, beautiful melody, one that would arrive on the breeze and change the quiet harmony of his world forever. He was simply waiting, though he did not know it yet. One bright summer afternoon, a sound drifted through the willow's leaves that was not the wind. It was music, a sweet and soaring melody played on a violin. Elias looked up from his book, his brow furrowed in mild curiosity. The sound was full of life, a stark contrast to the usual peace of his sanctuary. He saw her then, a young woman with hair the color of spun gold, her eyes closed as she swayed with the music she was creating. She stood just beyond the edge of the willow's canopy, her violin tucked under her chin as if it were an extension of her own heart, pouring out a song that was both joyful and deeply wistful. Her name was Clara, and she was everything Elias was not. She was a traveler, a musician who carried her home on her back and her heart on her sleeve. Her spirit was as untamed as the wildflower melodies she played, full of impulsive adventures and a boundless love for the world. She had stumbled upon the small town and the magnificent willow tree, feeling an immediate pull to its quiet magic. She didn't see a place to hide from the world as Elias did. She saw a stage, a place to share her music with the sky, the leaves, and anyone who happened to be listening. Her presence was a splash of vibrant color in Elias's monochrome world. Elias did not speak to her that first day, nor the next. He simply listened. He found himself closing his book and letting her music fill the space around him. Her songs told stories of faraway places, of stormy seas and bustling cities he had only ever read about. They were filled with a raw, beautiful emotion that stirred something deep within him, a feeling he couldn't quite name. It was as if she was playing the feelings he kept locked away inside the fortress of his quiet heart. Her music was a language he understood instinctively, a bridge between his silent world and her expressive one. Eventually, curiosity won over his shyness. He offered her a small, hesitant smile one afternoon, and she smiled back, her music faltering for just a moment before resuming. The next day, He brought out a glass of lemonade and left it on the small bench beneath the tree. She found it after she finished playing, her eyes finding his through the window of the bookstore. She raised the glass in a silent thank you. It was a simple gesture, a wordless conversation that marked the beginning of something new. A quiet understanding had begun to form under the watchful branches of the old willow. As summer softened into the golden hues of autumn, their unspoken ritual continued. Clara would arrive with her violin, and Elias would emerge from his bookstore with a book and 2 cups of hot tea. They didn't need many words at first. He would read, and she would play, her melodies weaving through the crisp autumn air. The space under the willow became a shared sanctuary, a place where his silence and her music could exist in perfect harmony. Sometimes she would stop playing and simply watch the leaves fall, their brilliant colors carpeting the ground around them. He would look up from his page, and they would share a comfortable silence. Their conversations started slowly, like a shy stream finding its path. She would ask about the book he was reading, and he would tell her the story in his soft, careful way. He would ask about the songs she played, and she would describe the feelings, or the places that inspired them. He learned that a fast, frantic tune was her memory of a crowded market in Marrakesh, while a slow, melancholic melody was the feeling of watching a sunset over the ocean. In return, he shared the quiet dramas of fictional characters, their triumphs and heartbreaks feeling just as real in his telling. Winter arrived, dusting the willow's bare branches with snow. They moved their meetings inside the cozy bookstore, surrounded by the comforting scent of books and brewing tea. Clara would play softly, her music a warm counterpoint to the whistling wind outside. Elias would show her his favorite first editions, his hands gentle as he handled the fragile pages. She taught him to see the world not just as stories to be read, but as a grand adventure to be lived. He, in turn, showed her the profound beauty that could be found in stillness, in the quiet, patient unfolding of a single, perfect moment. In these small moments, a deep bond was forged. It was not built on grand declarations or dramatic events, but on the steady accumulation of shared quietness. It was in the way he always knew exactly how she liked her tea, or the way she would start playing a soft, gentle tune when she noticed he looked tired. Their friendship grew like a slow, sturdy tree, its roots deepening with each passing day. They were 2 different melodies, 2 different stories that were slowly learning to harmonize into a single, beautiful song, all without ever having to say the words aloud. When spring returned, it felt like a promise fulfilled. The willow tree began to sprout new, tender green leaves, and the world outside the bookstore bloomed with color once more. Elias and Clara returned to their spot beneath its branches, the air fresh with the scent of rain and new beginnings. Something had shifted between them during the long winter months. The silence was no longer just comfortable. It was filled with an unspoken affection, a warmth that had nothing to do with the returning sun. Their connection had blossomed quietly, in the dark, much like the bulbs buried beneath the snow. Their love was not a sudden storm, but a gentle tide. It was in the small, almost imperceptible gestures that had become their private language. It was in the way his gaze lingered on her as she played, a soft smile on his lips. It was in the way she would rest her head against the willow's trunk, her eyes on him as he read aloud, her violin resting beside her. One afternoon, a sudden spring shower sent them running for the cover of the bookstore. Laughing and breathless, he gently brushed a raindrop from her cheek, and in that fleeting touch, a whole story was told. Their differences no longer seemed like divides but like complements. His quiet nature was a peaceful harbor for her adventurous spirit, a place she could always return to. Her vibrant energy was a gentle breeze that stirred the still waters of his world, showing him a beauty he had never known to look for. He started leaving wildflowers tucked into the pages of the books he recommended for her. She began composing short, simple melodies just for him, songs that spoke of quiet afternoons and the rustling leaves of their favorite tree. Their love was a quiet collaboration, a masterpiece they were creating together, note by note, word by word. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in shades of pink and orange, They sat together under the willow, not reading, not playing, just being. Clara leaned her head on Elias's shoulder and he instinctively wrapped an arm around her. No words were needed. The future was an unwritten page, an unplayed melody, but it held no fear. In the quiet sanctuary of the bookstore and under the gentle watch of the willow tree, they had found a rare and beautiful thing, a love that didn't need to be shouted from the rooftops, for it grew best in the soft, quiet places of the heart.